Discovering the instinctual subtypes completely changed my interpretation of each Enneagram type, especially including the Enneagram 4. So in this video, I want to break down the difference between the SP, SX, and SO Enneagram 4 and share some of my personal experience with each of these instinctual subtypes so that you can tell which one you are. Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Isabel and today I want to talk about the instinctual subtypes of the Enneagram Type 4, known as the Individualist. But as you learn about each instinctual subtype, you'll discover that the name changes. In this video specifically, I'm going to cover a brief overview of what the Enneagram 4 is, including their core fear, core desire, and key traits, the SO Type 4, the SX Type 4, the SP Type 4, as well as at the end, I'm going to give a few different common mistypes that I've personally noticed for the Enneagram 4. So if you listen to each instinctual subtype and go, not quite me, there's a few other types you may potentially be or might want to look into. For this video, to talk about the instinctual subtypes of the Enneagram 4, I will be referencing The Complete Enneagram by Beatrice Chestnut a lot because her interpretations have helped me understand a lot of these subtypes. So I recommend getting this book. I'll link it below. These are not my complete, personal, unique interpretations. Credit to the author, but also sharing some of my own personal life experience with this. If you want just the quick bookmark, save it, write it down overview of each Enneagram 4 subtype, here's how I remember the difference. The SP4 is all about working hard to overcome their feelings of shame and find a sense of importance. This is really the martyr syndrome of I need to just work for what I want and I'll never get what I want and hopefully someone will recognize me for it. The SX is the angry 4, who's going to be very aggressive and arguably like an Enneagram 8, who verbally, authoritatively asserts their unique differences and opinions. And the SO4 is the melancholy 4, who is the stereotypical 4, where they try to appear different, express every emotion in the emotion book, and just are flamboyant in their expression and say, you know what, I'm just doing me in the end. If any of those small, little, broad spectrum, missing a lot of information, interpretations of the Enneagram 4 subtypes resonates with you, then keep watching. I will also put over the screen really quick my own personal viewpoint and interpretation of quick cliff note version of each Enneagram 4 subtype. Let me tell you guys, I feel like I have been through the ringer with Enneagram 4s. And I started to think it was just that they are so popular in modern day society, given just how we are raised in recent years. There seems to be a lot of Enneagram 4s in the Gen Z age group and even the millennial age group because there's a desire to be individualistic. But maybe that's not the case. It could just be that I grew up in California where that was more of a culture. And it could also be that I think I attract 4s to remind myself that I need to be more focused on my own sense of individuality. Point is, I've known a lot of 4s in my lifetime, and to identify their subtypes has been mind-boggling to see the difference. But regardless, one thing stays the same, which is the Enneagram 4 is the individualist. Their core desire is to be important. And I think this is a way better way personally to describe the Enneagram 4's core desire rather than what I originally learned, which is their desire is to be different. They do have an expression of trying to be different in some form or fashion, but this is rooted in the desire to be important. They were taught from a young age that there has to be something unique, special, different about them in order to be important. And so in the stereotypical expression, the Enneagram 4 is someone who's very eccentric, very artistic, very creative, can be fascinated by the arts or just straight up quirky. But that's not always the case, especially when you learn about the SP4. These people find that there's something that they have to do that is different than the status quo or different from what everyone else is doing, which can be more hard effort, hard work, in order to stand out, to gain a sense of significance. Because if they're just like everyone else, they're taught that they're not going to be significant at all. But this isn't Dan, so with that, the core fear of the Enneagram 4 is that they will be unimportant, that they do not matter, that they will just fly by this world and no one will even notice, which if you're an Enneagram 4 hearing that, that's like, okay, little soft spot there. But regardless, gives them the talent of being able to walk to the beat of their own drum. The Enneagram 4, in the end, I think, across the board, regardless of whether they appear eccentric and wear scarves, or if they're an artist, or if they're just really hardworking and humble and accepting of everyone, the one thing that stays constant with these people is the fact that they learned that, you know what? Importance is not guaranteed, and so I must learn just how to be my own person. Regardless of how eccentric that is displayed, the Enneagram 4 is the individualist, and so they are highly in touch with their sense of self, with their sense of individuality. They know themselves like the back of their hand, including their emotions. A key sign that you're an Enneagram 4 is regardless of whether you express the emotions externally or not, you feel like you know every little nook and cranny of your soul. You know your deepest, darkest secrets. You're aware of your deepest parts of yourselves. You're aware of how you feel. You're aware of what you think. You're aware of your wounds, and you revel in that to some degree, because you've learned to know yourself to such a degree that you feel like you don't need anyone to understand you. I could go into the Enneagram 4 more, but I do want to focus on the different instinctual subtypes for this video. So if you want to learn more about the Enneagram 4, check out my playlist here, giving a really exaggerated movement because I always forget to put the card in. So check out my playlist here. But let's dive into what the different instinctual subtypes of the Enneagram 4 is. Let's start off with talking about the stereotypical 4, which is the social 4, which is known as shame in Beatrice Chestnut's book. That is the label that they give it. I've known a few social subtype 4s in my life, and these are the people who appear like a stereotypical 4 and easily resonate with the title and sometimes feel a bit wounded about it, but regardless, they accept it because the social 4 is the flamboyant 4, the melodramatic 4, the one who is aware of all their emotions and openly expresses them. It's not to say that they go around saying, oh, I'm crying all the time and I need to let you know how they feel. Their emotions are just so on the surface, and they go, this is me and this is who I am, and if you have a problem with that, then that is fine because I'm just here to take care of me. I've known a few different, but two of which come to mind for the social 4 are two good friends of mine, one of which is male, one of which is female, and they both have different but accurate representations of the social 4. One, the male, he's in his 30s now, and first time I met him, first thing I noticed, he has a massive dragon tattoo on his, like a sleeve tattoo on his arm, and he's sitting there and he's talking about how he's just getting really into breath work, and he's always been the kind of guy who just does him. He literally said that the first time I met him. He says, I just do me. He's always the kind of person who shares how he feels, always the kind who wants to bring it out into the open and say, hey, if we have a problem, we need to talk about it. And again, if you have a problem, I'll just do me. On the other hand, my female friend who I met, my very first impression with her is that she was wearing the quirkiest outfit I had ever seen. She had massive Captain America socks come up to her ankles or calves or whatever, and she was just completely quirky. She was doing this photo booth and was just trying to come up with the most eccentric ways and random ways to pose. She's always sharing how she feels, saying that, look, I'll just do me. I can kind of just be happy on my own. And she's always into something unique. I think that is a key trait of the social subtype 4. They've always got something weird that they're into, and they've gone through everything. One thing I've actually noticed a lot with the SO subtype 4 is that they have a tendency to become wedding officiants. Both my friends officiate weddings here. And so the social subtype 4, in the end, is seeking a sense of importance through social spheres. This can be through social networking or just finding things to stand with. Very similar, I would say, to really all the social subtypes of the Enneagram types, but especially the 5 and the 6, in the sense that they're looking for something to stand with for their sense of individuality. Hence why they can go through many different hobbies, many different interests, and become obsessed with many different things. The social subtype 4, in the end, is going to verbally or physically express their individuality the most. So not only are they going to express the emotions, express how they feel, but these people can be the type to express themselves through what they wear, more stereotypically, as you'd picture for, whether that's scarves, fedoras, unique outfits, statement pieces. The social 4 is very focused on expressing externally their uniqueness, and they don't necessarily care whether you like it or not. In the end, this is rooted in that they want to express themselves and feel authentic to them. In an extreme or negative expression, the SO4 can find that they do express themselves for the sake of being heard for their suffering. This is given the fact that the deadly sin, so to say, of the Enneagram 4 is envy. They feel that others have what they don't. And so with being the social subtype, these people can go about expressing themselves and expressing their suffering and expressing their wounds and pains, regardless of whether it's just getting cut in line at the coffee shop or a massive heartbreak. They try to express what they feel and what they experience for the sake of recognition and importance. And they feel that they won't get that unless they show people how they are inferior to some degree. This is kind of coming back to that stress expression, the Enneagram 2 that the Enneagram 4 moves towards, where they have to feel that, look, I'm being completely selfless. I'm not getting what I need. I've prioritized other people, and I need you to see that in order to feel a sense of significance, but also so that you can help me get what I want. I think with the social 4, they have more of a tendency when they notice their lack to go into isolation modes. Both my friends, as I've mentioned, the male and the female, they both will go into modes where if they feel rejected of some kind, go through some sort of heartbreak, if they don't get something they want, if they're suffering in some ways, they will go into isolation mode, listen to their sad music, journal, eventually probably share their journal prompts on social media to, again, externalize and let people know how they don't have the lack, or that they have the lack and that they're not getting what they want. But they will generally go into that I need to feel into my feelings mode and just shut down completely. In a way, similar to the Enneagram 9 stereotypically, or even the Enneagram 3's 9 stress, rather than the other two subtypes who will go into more proactive ways of being potentially. Given that the social subtype of the Enneagram 4 is quite literally focused on social recognition, these people, while I say that they're generally going to express their emotions, what they tend to do is show the softer emotions that will gain them recognition and reward from society and keep their more aggressive emotions to their internal life or to their closer home environment to gain the validation or the recognition, simply put, from the outside world. And so these people try to appear warm, friendly, and they do have a gift for that. The social subtype 4 is naturally going to be someone who knows how to make everyone feel emotionally accepted and welcome because they're saying to themselves, I'm just doing me. Once again, you should do you. Come sit by my fire and let's talk about who we are. And if we get diving deep enough, let me tell you about my unique past and suffering so that I can feel a sense that I'm accepted by you. So now that you know the stereotypical Enneagram 4, let's talk about the counter type 4 for contrast. And hopefully that was a pretty good summary on the SO4. I'm sure I missed things. Don't come at me if I sounded judgmental or not. I truly don't mean to be. There's a lot of information to cover about all these. So the SP Enneagram 4, also known in Beatrice Chestnut's book as tenacity, is the Enneagram 4 countertype. And this can be one of the harder ones to pin. If you are an Enneagram 4, you may feel more like a 5 or a 9, given the fact that you are not necessarily this flamboyant, eccentric person. Yes, you are in touch with yourself, but you're none of that wishy-washy feeling stuff. And that is because this Enneagram 4 sees that the way to be different is by being more tenacious or hardworking than everyone else. From experience with this Enneagram 4 that I've had, or multiple Enneagram 4s, these people from a young age were taught that they were needing to excel almost like an Enneagram 3 in some way, whether they were good at football or sports or academically. I feel like I'm saying that word wrong. Intellectually, in school, these people were taught that they were excelling in some way and that their hard effort was valued, and that made them stand out from everyone else. So they put pressure on themselves from a young age to be hardworking and put in 110% effort for every single thing that they do going forward. And so their individuality or their unique side can hide much more under the radar. If you dig deeper with them, you're going to find that there is things that they view as quirky about them, whether that's just a way they like to eat or a way they like to dress or things that they're interested in. They do have this quirky side to them, but in the end, this Enneagram 4 seeks a sense of importance by putting more effort in than anyone else. And this is rooted in the same kind of envy that all Enneagram 4s experience, which is the feeling that they are not getting something that other people have. But the only way for them to achieve that is through working harder and seeing more suffering. So in the end, I think all Enneagram 4s, given this deadly sin, do have to feel recognized for their suffering. That is what they're seeking. They're hoping that someone will see their suffering. But this for the Enneagram SP4, did I say that right? For the Enneagram SP4, they need to be recognized for the fact that they're working harder and are at their core more tired than anyone else. And one example of this is my uncle. He is an Enneagram 4, and he was extremely intelligent and physically talented from a young age. Great at football, excelled in school, had the opportunities of a lifetime because of it. And at the same time, he felt this deep sense that he was not important enough unless he maintained this level of success and achievement that was being pressured upon him. And in the end, he just wanted to feel a sense of importance, which helped him balance out as he found a good relationship, feeling that sense of importance there. But regardless, he's always had a pressure on him from a young age to excel, which may have made him appear like a 4 at times, or like a 3 at times. But in the end, this was rooted in a sense of importance. And the more you got to know him, the more he was an extremely, extremely quirky dude who has the most unique view on music and wanted to try all these different things. And it's just a broad spectrum of individuality. Eventually, the pressure got too much to be for him, and now he is working a job he loves, not necessarily living up to the level of quote-unquote success that everyone thought he would, but he found his place through his other, in a way, subtypes, and found that sense of importance. And now that he has that sense of importance fulfilled, he is thriving. Another example of this would be my other friend of mine, who is very, very similar story, grew up being a really good athlete, from a young age, eventually had an injury because he couldn't handle the pressure that was being put on him, and eventually found his place through dancing and found that he could find his sense of importance through his community. Same kind of story. These people find that they need to be excelling in some form or fashion from a young age, and if they just suffer long enough, hopefully someone will notice. In the case for my friend, he does joke all the time that, I would just do a job from a young age, and I would say that, it's fine. I don't need to talk to anyone. I don't need you to ask how my day was. Deep down, I do want someone to care, but instead I'm going to just push people away out of the fear that if I try to open up to you, you're not going to find me important. And so that can be a theme with the general SP4, is this feeling of, I need to suffer in silence, and I deep down want someone to notice, but there is a fear that if I don't have this suffering, then I won't be important at all. And so in a way, it's like a self-propelling cycle. While the pressure is too much for them to handle, for them to keep putting this important, unique effort in, it's at the same time an addiction they can't let go of, because it's also what makes them feel a sense of significance. And they think that if they stop being the most hardworking, then they're gonna be, in the end, nothing. And this can be a very big challenge for them to work through. But in the end, this gives the SP4 a strength of resilience, a strength of really hard work that they can channel into achieving anything they want, and combined with their unique individuality, they can play to their unique set of strengths in order to achieve anything they desire. And of course, naturally, with the Enneagram SP4 being self-preserving, these people can be a little bit harder to open up with or get to open up, because they're going to preserve their emotions and keep everything beneath the surface. It's very likely that they have, of course, like any human being, a lot going on beneath the surface, but they're going to try to use their hard efforts to hide that. And so getting these people to open up can be a challenge. And finally, let's talk about the SX Enneagram 4, known as the Competition 4. Once again, I have had very up-close experience with this Enneagram subtype of the SX4. Unfortunately, very negative. So if for some reason this interpretation comes out very negative, I do apologize, because in the end, I do believe that the SX4, just like any Enneagram type, has very positive sides to it. The SX4 is the angry 4, and these people can oftentimes come across a lot like Enneagram 8s or think that they're 8s. The difference here is, I think an Enneagram 8 is much more focused on just speaking objective truth or fact when they're assertive, whereas the Enneagram 4 has very much a subjective truth or fact. So their way of expressing their unique individuality is through assertion and as well as competition. The SX4 in the end seeks to feel a sense that they are merging with something, just like any SX subtype, but for them it's to find a sense of importance, and the way they do this is through assertive competition. Like in the name, the SX4 finds a sense that They are competing to be the best in order to seek a sense of recognition, importance, and merging with another, or they're not going to do it at all. This instinctual subtype of the 4 is similar to the SO in the sense that they're going to have more of a flamboyant expression of their individuality. However, the key difference here is that the SO subtype picks a more socially acceptable way to be different, whereas the SX instinctual subtype of the 4 tries to find, in a way, the most unique expression of individuality that they can be that tests people to accept them. These people can tend to be very abrasive in their style of expressing their individuality, and like I always say, being aggressive, because they want to see how much, in a way, it's this in a way of pushing people away to see if they will accept them, similar to the SP4 in the sense that they want to have their own suffering. The difference is that the SX4 seeks this sense of suffering through competition, through being aggressive, through being different, through being bold, to see if they will get people to accept them. The SX4 uses competition to express their feelings of envy, of not having what they want, through achieving success. These people tend to have a very intense attitude to everything that they do, which in a positive expression is passion. In the sense that they want all or nothing, these people tend to go for success through means of just putting all their effort, 110%, to the point where they may become hateful. And if they don't achieve it, then it's not even worthwhile. They need to feel a sense that they are superior, because to the SX4, to be important truly does mean to be not even just the best, but to be the superior being. I'm just going to quote this one section in Beatrice Chestnut's book for the SX4 because it's so good. Sexual 4s are usually arrogant, despite having an underlying sense of inferiority. In the face of pain of feeling misunderstood, an arrogant attitude is adopted as an overcompensation, a means of being recognized. These 4s like to be part of chosen group and can be very elitist. They refuse to feel indebted to anyone, and they may have a sense that they have an exclusive right to feel offended by the lack of consideration of others. Any criticism or reproach is seen as an affront or disqualification. So there's a sense very similar to the SO4 in the sense that they need to feel included. However, for the SX4, this needs to feel like an importance in the sense of, I don't need everyone to accept me. I need the challenge of being accepted. They need to feel merged with some one thing, some one ideal, given that sexual is all about one-on-one relations. So these people can look for it in still group means, but elitist group means. And I want to bring the example of a once friend that I knew. We were, my sister and I, in a very much a climbing town. And how climbing works is the sense that you would think of it as all accepting, but there does eventually end this point where people who climb harder grades, just like any group, become the elite group. This guy was the bartender in town, and so he prided himself first and foremost already on the fact that he was the best in town and that he knew everything, he knew everyone, and he had given himself the label of being a bit arrogant in kind of other words that YouTube will censor me for using. But he had this very bold, very assertive energy about him, very quirky, still nonetheless, so not an 8. But he was always trying to, so to say, win his ticket into the elite group, and he thought that once he could climb the good enough grade, or if he could be recognized for being the best bartender, then he would win his ticket into the group. And if people weren't going to accept him for that, then he was going to find some other achievement mean, whether it was summiting peaks or doing some sort of other crazy adventure in some sort of crazy means, like running it barefoot or something like that. So this energy of being unique and different is bridged with this Enneagram 8 aggression combined with the Enneagram 3 of success to make someone who feels that they need to be important. In order to do so, they have to find this unique way, an aggressive way of seeking achievement and recognition. In the negative expression, the SX4 is extremely hateful. That is their word. But in the positive expression, the SX4 is a combination of individuality and assertion that makes them able to achieve anything their heart's desires, accomplish insane feats, and make people feel truly connected and important. When these people are in a good spot, the SX4 has an ability to initiate a sense of closeness and vulnerability unlike any other, given that they have been, so to say, through the ringer with their emotions and feeling unimportant, that they can bring a closeness and a connectedness that is vital and valuable. So if you listened to those and you felt like none of them quite resonated, these are 2 Enneagram types I'd recommend you look into. From experience, these 2 Enneagram types often mistype as Enneagram 4s, including myself. So given that, I would check out 1, the Enneagram 9. If you feel like the Enneagram 4 didn't resonate, it's possible that you're an Enneagram 9. Many Enneagram 9s mistest as Enneagram 4s. Or check out the Enneagram 5. From experience, I've seen a few 5s who mistype as Enneagram 4s at first, resonating with their wing nature. And I'll add as a bonus with that, check out the Enneagram 3 because maybe you're seeing your wing behavior. So as a summary, if you feel like those didn't resonate, check out the Enneagram 9. If you feel like you're more easygoing and less emotionally intense, check out the Enneagram 5. If you feel like you do have this quirky side, but your life doesn't revolve around you feeling a sense of importance and you're fine happily on your own. Or check out the Enneagram 3 if you feel like, again, you have this unique, different nature, but you're more wrapped up in the feeling of you need to still be the best and be liked in order to find that sense of importance. Rather than having to be different, you need to appear like the stereotypical best. So check those out. I have playlists on them all. I'm working on building out the instinctual subtypes for all of these. So stay tuned, turn on post notifications, and subscribe to find out when I publish these next videos. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I sincerely hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did this resonate for you as an Enneagram 4? Did I miss anything? I'm sure I did. This is just hopefully a good starting point overview of each instinctual subtype. Just let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Once again, my name's Isabel, and from my heart to yours, thanks again for watching, and namaste.